brothers went to the Navy, and I sort of failed the spelling test, so I went into the Army. And the rest is history. I actually managed to, for some bizarre reason, I had a talent for singing, so I was a choir boy when I was a kid. So I ended up going to a posh school, which was great, and I stayed until I was 18. But come 18, that was a chop. And it was quite interesting because I always worried. People think my father was like some sort of military guy, and and I was doing this in Commando Forces Mess in Plymouth a couple of weeks ago. And you speak at these grand events, these pictures all around the walls of these great military commanders, stood there, belted, tied up, loads of medals. And I thought that is exactly what my father thinks he looks like. The reality is he would have been murdered by his own men at first opportunity. We all ended up in the military, and that was certainly my breeding. Yeah.
And that was 10 years?
I served 14 years actually, so I joined in 2001. I joined for the reason that a lot of young people join the army or the military or whatever it is. I think everyone likes to talk about how it's for Queen and country and duty and all this, and I don't want to sort of puncture that balloon. But a lot of us join up to get away from home, to go travelling around the world at taxpayers' expense. Yeah. And if there is a war, generally try and avoid it. But obviously in 2001, when we were going through training, and we knew at the time really the whole sort of atmosphere around being in the military changed in 2001. And for my generation, certainly, it was a pretty interesting 14 years.
Did you get a chance to see the RAF or part of the RAF fly past at all?
I did. I was amazed. None of them broke down, and all of them made their way across London, which was phenomenal.
Well, I managed to see the fast jets, and the gentleman standing next to me said, "Ladies and gentlemen, that is the entire Royal Air Force."
Yeah, probably right. Yeah.
But that sort of jokey aside, does that worry you about defence spending?
Yeah, I mean, look, defence spending is a seriously hot topic at the moment. I mean, why are we here? I think you've got to look at the generational progress of the decline of military power in this country. Why is it declining? Because we've become increasingly safe. People don't want to pay for it, and I understand that. But also, our politicians have generally been pretty poor at advocating why we need the military, why we use the military, why it's important to operate abroad sometimes. And let's be frank, they haven't made the best decisions over the last 15, certainly 10 or 15 years that have scarred what it means to take this country into military conflict. So, I think I can see why it's happened, but we quite seriously need to reverse that trend, I think, in a world that is clearly getting more dangerous.
Well, if budgets are as tight, I mean, lots of people on many sides of the political side say, well, take it from other areas, such as overseas aid.
Yeah, so this overseas aid thing, I mean, it's a popular view to sort of take money out of the overseas aid budget and give it towards the military or the NHS. The thing is with aid is the argument around it is pretty sound. So the idea that you can go to a country and try and invest in conflict prevention and things like that, that is a lot cheaper than actually sending an army to sort out an armed conflict. The problem is if you don't control it properly, you get the sort of scandals we've seen, and aid becomes extremely unpopular. The other mistake, I think, if I may, was enshrining how much we give in law. So 0.7%, okay, fine, but really what people would expect, I don't think people don't want to give anything, but I think they expect to be able to flex that, to increase it or decrease it, depending on what's going on in the country at the time, and people would sort of come along with that a little bit more. And ultimately, it's taxpayers' money, and we've got to espouse the values of it, which we don't really. No one really makes the effort to do, which is a shame.
And just on the military, is Trump right on NATO, the spending shortfall?
He's right on NATO to an extent. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I had breakfast with the German defence minister in Munich earlier this year, and we talked about, there was a funny story in the paper about how the German soldiers were practising with broom handles. And I thought she'd be horrified, but she couldn't stop laughing. And I thought that was a really good indication of how seriously they kind of take this defence thing. And they have completely enjoyed the effects of a secure Europe, of massive US military spending and so on. So I think he's right in that extent. I don't think you can say it should be 2, 3, 4, 5% of GDP, because ultimately you should have a look at what the threats to the country are and then pay accordingly. I think if you start going down 4 or 5%, you'll get back into the bad old days where we waste loads of money on procurement and we end up going to fight wars with all the wrong equipment anyway, and it doesn't seem to make a difference.